Thank you very much and a very warm good morning from United Kingdom. This is Dr. Muhammad Imran Qureshi from Teesside University, UK. And before starting my presentation, I would like to thank my dear friend, Mr. Gideon Maru and Universitas Nagari Marandu for this event and giving me opportunity for this presentation. So the topic I selected for this presentation is very simple, a very common word which we heard so many times, but there are so many questions related to this subject and also with this word. So we need to comprehend in detail what does it mean and how it works in reality and how much important it is for us. So in this presentation, I would be highlighting these points about the sustainability, and I will be talking about how we can measure this concept and why this concept is important and understanding the construct in detail. So the sustainability is very simple. The people have already discussed this concept many times, and this is related to, growing without compromising. But let's talk about how it started. The important part is the sustainability is to protect our future generations from the negative impacts of our activities nowadays. So we human beings are basically the drivers of the world now, and they have whatever we do, it leads us to some carbon footprints, or it have some impact on Earth. In the similar way, if I look into the starting of this mass production, so that's what happened when the Industrial Revolution came in. So during this Industrial Revolution, this all manufacturing, it is replaced. Before this Industrial Revolution, the mass production, we were producing products based on the craftsmanship, means that an individual was responsible for developing the concept, designing and manufacturing the product. So that is called craftsmanship. And now even if you can check around yourself, you will see many handicraft around you. So they are the ones who create everything. So before industrialization, the world was working like this. They have craftsmanship and the people who produce products. But these products were produced in a very small scale. Now, when we need it at the high scale, so we started Industrial Revolution. So Industrial Revolution means that we started to produce in the mass production, and a lot of, volume was, manufactured very quickly. So that's the Industrial Revolution. So it replaced the craftsmanship and it bring capitalism in the world. So it means that the more money is coming into the business, because the more you produce, the more you earn, and that's why the more you damage the earth as well, because you are using resources. All these industrial production, they will end up with contributing to the pollution. These pollution can be environmental pollution, waste, solid waste, or all other types of the pollutions. They were basically the result of this mass production. So because the money was coming in, everybody was happy. So nobody was talking about what is going to happen as a result of this industrialization. But what happened is, the more we produce, the more we damage the environment, and more CO2 footprints or carbon footprints were built. And then this is the history. We know that this environmental impact of this production process. But the story is not ending here. These environmental issues now, they become more devastated, and these, they are creating more catastrophic events like climate change, and you can see the consequences all around you. Many of us were suffered from these types of the consequences and these devastating events caused by the climate change. So now the things are getting bigger. Started with environmental impact, and now we are into this climate change, and you can see all these things are changing so quickly. And these are some stories which I collected, and they can tell you everything. So these pictures have 1,000 words in it. So this is how climate change impacting our world, and this is what we are doing. So let's talk about the sustainability. Now, we do understand these environmental changes and these environmental impacts are devastating, and they have larger consequences. That's why the first sustainability is basically your environmental impact, to reduce the environmental impact. But when this definition of sustainability was triggered by the environmental scientists, and they were focused on to protect the environment from the negative impact of the human activities, and that's why it is called sustainability. But later on, after the debates, the UNO and all other institutions, they were agreed upon this. The economic and social part of human life is also needed to be included in this definition. So now we have economic aspect and the social aspect as well in sustainability. So in simple word, we are saying that if in terms of manufacturing process, we want to produce product, but without damaging environment at the lowest possible cost, and also socially acceptable products. So these all are basically pillars of sustainability, and we also name them triple bottom line. So this triple bottom line is now the new definitions of sustainability, and based on this definition we have this sustainable development. And the simple definition of sustainable development is we need to develop, we want to progress, but without compromising the requirements of future generations. Mean that whatever we produce, we consume, but we shall left something for future generations so they can fulfill their needs as well. If I tell you, if the way we are consuming the resources of Earth now, if we do like this, in next 100 years, you will need 2 more Earths, like a world like us in a planet like Earth, because we will be consuming all these resources. So this is the impact and the huge impact of this sustainable development. So we want to develop, but we don't want to compromise the future generation as well. So that's the definition of sustainable development. And this is where the sustainable goals are being introduced. So now global millennium goals, we also call them sustainable development goals, millennium goals. These are 17 goals to transform our future world, and these are being developed by UNO with the agreement of all nations. So this is the 17 different goals. We want to achieve them, and by doing this we can protect our future. This is how sustainable development is improving. Now the thing is, we do understand sustainability, we do understand sustainable development, we have the concept, but how to measure them? Because without measuring, we can't control them. And if we can't control them, obviously we can't create a future for our generation. So that's why first thing, we need to learn how we measure them. So sustainability is being measured on 3 different matrices: social, economic, and environmental. And there are many small scale elements are being included in this sustainability, social, economic, and environmental indicator. But these indicators are more industrial relevant. So if you have any specific industry, you should identify their matrices separately, and then you can measure the sustainable development. So these are general goals, which general measurements which I have used. And if you check on these governments, so governments are already creating all this type of data and trying to provide all the information which your country is producing, so we can understand that whether our development is sustainable or not. So sustainable development is being achieved or not. So this is how we measure the progress. Now once we measure the progress, the important thing is what type of corrective actions we can take in order to reduce the environmental damage or the impact of manufacturing process on our future generation. For that's why we are creating a few new techniques. The first thing is, the most important is life cycle assessment. So whatever product we produce, we try to analyze their life cycle, and we try to see whether it is going to end in the sea, it is going to contribute to the solid waste pollution, environmental pollution, or gas, or all these CO2 pollutions or greenhouse gases. So all these is being measured, and we try to reduce the damage by reutilizing them, and we maybe we can keep their utilization longer. The life cycle means we can increase their life cycle, or we can reuse them or manufacture. All these processes are basically the end of this life cycle assessment. So once we assess the life cycle, we can do a lot of things with this. And then the second thing is we want to create this circular economy. So circular economy is mean that whatever we produce, it should be reused and it should contribute to the net zero in CO2 emissions. So this is called 2050 UNO objectives, which is CO2 net zero emissions. But it should not only be 1 0, the environmental zero, it is the word of 3 big zeros. So we don't want to have any unemployment, poverty, and also social equality, and all human rights should be protected as well. So this is how we say that this word is not for 1 0, the net zero or CO2 zero. We also want the poverty and unemployment also, we need to make them zero. So that's why this word is, or these goals, UNO goals are looking for 3 zeros, and this is called word of 3 zeros. So this is the concept of sustainability and how it works. So it's a very simple things, and I believe you do understand these concepts very clearly now. So it's not just one concept, there are many different parameters are linked with these concepts. And I believe with this, you have a clear understanding of sustainability and sustainable development. Now, if you have any thoughts, any comments, I would be more than welcome to take questions. Thank you very much and have a very nice day. Goodbye.